loves, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jess from BehatiLife. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are starting this week really strong and high with a new moon in the sign of Sagittarius. You heard me talk about this on my Instagram, but let's get more into the nitty-gritty details of it. I'm going to make this video as short and as sweet as possible, but as fully detailed as possible because I have a lot of orders that I want to get out before the holidays. So if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below and I'm more than happy to answer them for you. Also, if you hear any noise in the background, it's because they are working with a chainsaw. I don't know. It feels like every time I record, they want to start doing construction, so we just have to work with that until it calms down. But all that being said, let's move forward. So yeah, this new moon is happening on the 18th of December around 1 o'clock in the morning. It falls in the sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is highly optimistic. It's very much focused on expansion, travel, education, and spirituality. What I saw when I was looking at this chart, as you guys already know about me, is I don't only look at the astrological angles and the position of the planets. I intuitively open myself up for messages, and the biggest word that came to me is blind faith, which actually makes so much sense because Jupiter and Sagittarius are all about having that blind faith, taking that leap of faith. And whenever I see Sagittarius within a chart or while I'm working with a chart, the first thing that I think of is the Fool card. And the Fool card within the tarot deck is all about, you know what, keeping your head up to the higher power, to the universe, to the skies, whatever the case may be, looking at the stars, but looking up and then walking forward, and there being guides around you, i.e. the little tiny dog that is barking at the foot of the man who's about to walk off the edge of this cliff. And really there's the quote, ignorance is bliss, is something that you really want to think about during this time, because the very opposite, I have so many things that are coming to me as far as information. The very opposite of Sagittarius is Gemini, and Gemini is all about thinking and information and processing stuff. But Jupiter takes that leap. Gemini thinks about it. And I think what kills dreams 9 times out of 10 and more often than failure ever does, or your biggest fear, is actually overthinking things and doubting them and being so fearful. So you can't actually get something off the ground if you are too scared or you're overthinking everything that can happen. In fact, in my own life with BehatiLife, if I knew everything that I was going to be walking into that I would need to be prepared for, or that in order to be a real legit business when I first started BehatiLife, guess what? I would have never done it. Ignorance is bliss. I followed my heart. I followed my gut instinct. I did something that seemed impossible at the time, and now here I am. And that's what this new moon wants you to do, is to sit for a second, especially when the new moon is so ripe and raw. So the first day and a day following that, to sit with it. Maybe you don't have to impulsively act. Maybe you don't have to do something reckless, but just sit with it for a minute and look at what it is that you would just ideally want for yourself, especially as we're moving into this new year. And 2017 is coming to a close, and 2018 is starting this new beginning. The next thing that I want to look at in this chart is, where is Jupiter placed within this astrological chart? Because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Jupiter is in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio, you guys have heard me talk about again and again and again, because Scorpio energy has been everywhere for the last 3 months. Scorpio is all about intensity and transformation and real authenticness. And for a lot of us, myself included, this created a push for an intense purge and release and let go and shedding of things that we once thought were important, or that once had a really strong position in our lives. We start to realize, you know what, maybe this isn't of quality. Maybe this is just filling up a space or filling a void, and now I need to release it because it serves no real meaningful purpose, and I deserve better. And really what Jupiter sitting in the sign of Scorpio does is it brings all of this stuff up to the surface. It's like What Lies Beneath, that movie where, you go out on the edge of the dock and there's this body floating. Oh my God, what a morbid quote. What a morbid way of looking at it. But really there's this stuff that's kind of lying dormant, these these bits of gold that are just lying there that we don't realize, and Jupiter brings it all up to the surface. Now, this can be in good ways and in bad ways, as you see in society right now, you know, all of this sexual exploitation and misuse of sex and power and taking advantage of people. All of those things are being highlighted during this time. That's because Jupiter, the planet of abundance and expansion, is expanding that. If you want to see more, or if you want to hear more about Jupiter's move through Scorpio, I made a video about that. I'll link it down below. But let's go back to this week. So Jupiter is actually sitting in the sign of Scorpio, and it's making us return and revisit like our deeper, most profound things that we want for ourselves. Jupiter is the planet of expansion and abundance and blessing. And in the sign of Scorpio, it says, what do you truly within your heart of hearts want for yourself? What would you do if you could not fail? What would you do if you knew you weren't going to fail? Like, what would that look like? Do that. And that optimistic perspective is going to be your saving grace, because you're not operating from fear. You're not operating from limitations. You're operating from potential. And even if you fail throughout that, which is not going to happen, you're going to succeed. You're going to be, you're going to figure it out. You're going to find your way. And you can see that when you're looking and studying the tarot deck of the beginning of the Fool and then starting the rest of the journey. And the journey itself is going to have highs, it's going to have lows, but it's going to be worth it. And that's another thing that Sagittarius new moon energy wants to bring into your life, is this idea of exploration. Now, for some of us, that means getting on a plane and traveling the world and going to see different cultures and going to see different things. For some people, it's going to be spiritual seeking. Finding depth and exploring your spiritual, truthfulness. What is true to you? What makes sense to you? What resonates? For others, it's going to be your own personal journey. And that is going to be your adventure of this life. And what is going to, at the end of the day, when you look back at it, what are the things that you said, you know what, I wish I would have done this? Make sure that you do them. What are the things that you would have loved to achieve, or you would have loved to try out? Even if you did fail, it's all about having the sense of adventure. It's not about winning all the time. It's about the experience. And that's what this Sagittarius new moon wants to bring into your life is, you know what? You don't have to answer to anybody else. You are you. Your happiness is priority one. And put that as a focus. Mercury currently is also retrograde, moving through the sign of Sagittarius as well. And this is where our mind and our thoughts are, and the way that we communicate and the way that we express ourselves. Not only does it mean that you're going to lose your phone a few times, or maybe your car is going to break down on the way to work. It is what it is. But it returns and makes you revisit those old ideas, those old things that you were like, God, you know what? I was so inspired when I did this, or I felt so good when I was doing this, and I want to go back to that. Like, help me get back to that. And that's what this new moon is going to set in place for you, and what is going to bring into your life. The other thing that I think that is so important that we should talk about is the fact that Jupiter is going to be squaring the natal node. The natal node is the point of fated things like karma, things that we have to learn, lessons that we have to learn, things that we have to do. And Jupiter, luckily for us, is pretty positive for the most part. Although I don't want anybody to say anything like, oh, this creates, good stroke of luck. It could create good stroke of luck, bad stroke of luck. This isn't about gambling. This is about a risk. It's about life guiding you in ways that may not make sense initially, but at the end of the day, when you look at it, all of the pieces fall together. And that's what Jupiter square the natal node is going to do for you. Also, Mercury retrograde is going to be touching the natal node too during this new moon time. So Mercury brings back information and news and resources and people and things that can help you along your path. One thing that I want to talk about is the fact that Saturn, this is huge, is going to be moving into the sign of Capricorn. Now, I don't want to go too far into detail with this because I want to make a full video about what this is going to mean for you, because this is going to affect us for at least the next 2 years, give or take. But Saturn represents restriction, it represents confinement, it represents building and hard work, drive, and dedication. Maybe not drive, but dedication. and how hard we will work in order to achieve something, and how hard we should be working in order to achieve something. What is worthy for us to commit ourselves to? Our time, our energy, our resources, our investments, etc., etc. So when Saturn moves into the sign of Capricorn, Capricorn is all about business and social status and security and stability. Now, this is going to test us like to no end. Government is going to be stressed the hell out. Businesses are going to be stressed the hell out, especially big business. There's going to be a huge shifting in how the government is run. There could be a crumbling of government, certain areas of the government, maybe the government as a whole. Certain bigger businesses could crumble. You could see something as random as like Walmart having, like, as crazy as that sounds, but it's big business. Walmart or Target just crumbling out of nowhere. Amazon crumbling, because if there is problems with the structure, if there's problems with the business, Saturn moving through Capricorn will highlight those areas and send it not only like, falling down, but like crumbling down, big, explosion. It's just a lot of dust, a lot of dirt, a lot of stuff getting kicked up into the air when these things start crumbling down. What does this mean for you? Well, first and foremost, as to be completely 100% honest with you guys, you always want to check your astrological chart, your natal chart, to see what Capricorn rules within your chart. For me, it rules my 7th house of relationships and partnerships, so I can see some really big striving for growth and change, and asking me to mature, asking me to take the next phases of my life very seriously. And then also, if there's things that are around me that are not, designed for longevity, they'll crumble during that time. And you know what I have to do? I have to be open to receive it, because the universe, God, the higher power, whatever it is that you want to call it, is there to kind of provoke change so that you can evolve into the best version of yourself, so that the life that you're living is not one that's built on a facade, but based upon reality and goodness and real. We don't want to live our whole lives within this fake illusion of this fantasy of what isn't actually good for us. The universe makes sure that, this life is going to be an adventure, but also it's going to be worth it, because the things that you have are worthy of your investment and your time. So check to see what Capricorn rules within your chart. If it rules something as serious as your health or your mental state, so like the 6th house or the 12th house, then you want to be easy on yourself. If it rules your finances, you want to create a budget for yourself. You want to make sure that you're not overspending, that you're being mature with your money, that you're not spending like you're just made of money, because if that's the case, you will lose all. Saturn will maybe not lose all, but it will test your financial ability to provide for yourself, because Saturn represents structure and stability. So it wants you to be mature and realistic, and it wants you to have a plan for yourself. So check to see what Saturn rules within your chart. But this move is happening on the 20th. Saturn is moving into the sign of Capricorn on the 20th. Luckily for all of us, Saturn loves Capricorn so much. In fact, Saturn rules Capricorn, so it's very comfortable here. So really what you want to do is just become the highest and greatest version of yourself. You want to be self-reliant, you want to be responsible, you want to be mature, and the list goes on and on, because those are the things that Saturn rules. If during this time you feel stressed out, take a break, take a pause, take a breather. That's all a part of being responsible too, is knowing how much you can take on, knowing when to put the load down and ask for help, knowing when to hire someone to help you, which is something that I need to be doing for BehatiLife, and helping me get the orders out in more and better time, which is going to be happening for 2018. I'm so excited about it. But so yeah, there's going to be all these like amazing changes that are happening. I do want to highlight before I end, because we're at 13 minutes. Okay. I do want to highlight the fact that the Sun and Saturn are going to be meeting on the 21st. This is I just want to stress so hard. I actually have a flight that day too, damn it. But, take care of your health during this time. Make sure that you are not stressing yourself out. Make sure that you're not beating yourself up. If you are already going through it with health or relationships or finances, this is not the day to push. This is not the day to like poke. This is not the day to overexert yourself. This is the day, if anything, to relax and take a step back. Because again, anything that is weak during this time, if you poke it, it's like putting in a little dynamite, it will just crumble. And what I don't want is to hear, you know what, Jess, on this day I had a breakdown. On this day I had to go to the hospital. On this day I broke up with my boyfriend for something that could have been totally avoided. I don't want to hear things like that because you're hearing it now, you know. So just take it easy during this day. Also, this week is going to be highly emotional. The moon is already sitting right on top of Saturn, just creating this depressing type of energy, just kind of diminishing your spirit. It just seems like the clouds are hanging really low and gray. On Monday, moving into Tuesday, as the moon moves through the sign of Capricorn, again, it's like this heavy, like low hanging cloud. It's like that overcast type of energy in your life. Maybe you're not super excited about things. Maybe you're not super pumped. The best way to channel this is to just put your head down and work, and to be realistic, and you know, stay focused, stay driven, stay motivated, and when it's time for you to clock out, go home and revisit the energy of gratitude. I'm grateful for my pomegranates that I had this morning. I'm grateful for the socks that I'm wearing on my feet. I'm grateful for stain remover. Like, these are things that I'm seeing in my environment right now, but you want to enter back into that space of gratitude, because that's going to help to lighten your mood and also lighten yourself spiritually. All right, you guys, so let me know how you're feeling. This is a lot to deal with this week, but you know what, all in all, it's going to be good. Please make sure that you're subscribed, because I'm going to be talking about Saturn's move into Capricorn. It's something that we need to talk about. There's going to be really good like high highs, and there's going to be really low lows that will come from it. Of course, I'm going to be honest with you throughout it all, as I always am. You know, I hold nothing back. Because I see a lot of things that can happen from this that could be really, really bad. But for our personal selves, you and we're going to be good. But I'm just worried about our government and bigger business, and how this will affect businesses in general. All right, so we'll talk soon. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.